Welcome to the Intentional Household Podcast. I'm Laura Wilson.
I'm Tatiana Rivers, part of the Intentional Household team, and I'm here to talk about birthday parties this time.
If you are a parent, planning a birthday party is something that needs to be done at least once a year for one child. If you have multiple kids, you have to do this multiple times a year. So we really want to get into planning the perfect birthday party and the perfect birthday party that is also low stress, doesn't eat up all your time, and is an enjoyable experience for everyone.
Yes,
Because we know, yes, as parents, it is not generally an enjoyable experience. And if it's not, then your kids will read that, and so will the attendees. So we want to make this a thoughtful, intentionally planned birthday party.
Yes. I'm just finishing my 9th year of birthday planning. We had my twins, which are just turned 9, and then my 6-year-old, which was just this past weekend, had her friend's birthday party. So wrapped up on birthday season. So fresh from all of that. Pretty exhausted from it all. Learned some even new lessons after 9 years. I still feel like I'm not quite there of having a very stress-free event. So I'm happy to talk about that and work out my own personal kinks of like making sure that everybody is having a really good time, including myself.
Yes.
Like I think the kids had a great time. They always do, but sometimes it comes at the expense of my own sanity.
Yeah. And it could result in being short.
Oh, yes.
And snippy
Oh,
with your
there were
family
some
members.
snips. There were some snips from my most recent birthday party, which we can get into. But yeah, let's start. Where do you start when planning a birthday?
That's right. So I would say generally, when people start their planning, it starts with looking at the calendar to find a date that would work. But I think that we should actually back it up.
Yes.
And do one step before that begins.
Yeah.
We have talked about this in another episode, using our tool, the expectations clarifier, to really put thought into the party or the event that you want to plan.
Yeah. So you introduced that in a previous episode just before Mother's Day. It was a great idea. And thinking back on all the parties I've had, even the most recent, I really should have used that tool because it really would have removed a lot of misunderstandings, I think, between me and my partner, my husband, who were planning this party. And we just had different expectations at the end of the day of how things were going to roll out. And I think when you have that, you are bound to have some minor conflict that really just didn't need to be there and added to making the event a little more stressful than it needed to be. But if I had just run through that checklist that we made for Intentional Household, I really would have reduced a lot of that. So we will definitely link that in the notes below. And for listeners, rewatch that episode on Mother's Day. We really get into that whole idea of the expectations clarifier. But really what that tool is just to, before you get into the nitty gritty of planning the logistics, it is, how do we want to feel? Personally, like the parents, are we going for a really low key event? I think as a child grows up, they can be involved in that too. Like, how do you want to feel for your birthday party? Especially once they get into preteen, like teen era, they can be involved in, deciding what do they really want to feel like after their party. Is it really special, big milestone birthday, like their 13th birthday? Is your child's first birthday? Maybe that's a bigger event. I recall, I don't know if you went through this, but when all of my friends started having their first child, the first birthday party was a really big deal.
Yes, for us.
Was not for the second or third, but the first birthday parties, I mean, they rented spaces. There were, I think Pinterest and Instagram at this time were really taking this, to another level, which we will maybe address some of that later in the episode. But there were really big productions like balloon arches and themes. And, the babies basically did not obviously decide on any of this. This was, the parents that wanted to do this. And some of that was keeping up with the Joneses for sure.
100%. I remember we had a photographer come to our first.
Yes.
And we have a book on our daughter's first.
Is your third after that?
No. I mean, we only really made a big deal out of our first child's first birthday. And then the next kids, their first birthdays weren't nearly as over the top.
Yeah. And I think part of that is it is a first. You're celebrating, the first time being parents as well. So I think that goes into that expectations clarifier of like, what is this event supposed to be? And like, unfortunately for your second and third children, you may have to explain that one day why they don't have a book. But I think that came into, that kind of goes into it. It's like, what are we celebrating? What are we wanting to get from this? Is this a big event? Is this a big milestone birthday? Or are we really trying to get something more chill and casual this time? At some point, your child will be involved in that. But in the beginning, it's you and your partner coming together first with a bit of an idea before you get into like the logistics of where it fits in the calendar. What do we both want out of this? How do we want to feel?
Yeah, that's a really great point. And so that it's not just on one parent planning this.
Yeah. That's what was my recent experience. And again, just timing, you don't get to time when your child's birthday is, obviously. Could be in the middle of Christmas season, could be in the middle of summer holidays or a long weekend or whatever it is. Sometimes it's not ideal. In our case, it was a very busy time of year where my husband was doing a lot of coaching, 2 types of lacrosse. I was trying to find a time for a birthday party and it just wasn't top priority for him. He was just like, listen, I'm in games after games after games and I'm the coach. So I have to be there. And, I got frustrated that this is like, wasn't talked about before. Your child has a birthday.
Every year?
Every year.
Yes.
Every year. So those are things that, I've learned from that. It's something to get way ahead.
Yeah. Okay.
Way ahead on.
And to reduce any sort of potential for resentment.
Absolutely. And just acknowledging like, okay, this is always going to be a busy time of year. May is when we just celebrated this birthday. Lacrosse season will probably still happen next year. So these are things from my expectations to, start managing early. And I think it starts with that, expectations.
Okay, great point. Now let's get into the framework of what makes a perfect birthday party. Let's talk about the length of the birthday party.
Yeah.
I would say keep it short and sweet.
Definitely.
So we're talking about 1 hour and a half to 2 hours.
Yes.
Because you want to keep the kids excited and you want them to leave wanting more.
Definitely. That's always a great feeling.
There's nothing like, the excitement of the party, a couple hours have passed and the entertainment has stopped. And then the kids start to get bored.
Oh, yeah.
But they're hyped up on sugar. And then it just turns into absolute chaos.
Definitely. And I would say something to be aware of. So if you plan a party at a party event place, a lot of the times they're 2 hours.
Yes.
And they give you like an hour in one space and an hour in like a party room. I remember our first experience with this, total newbies. We planned, it was a gymnastics kind of gym. And then you have an hour in the party room. And we were so unprepared for how long an hour in a party room is. And we came with nothing. No entertainment, nothing. And we were like, oh my God, can we please go back in the gym? Like we were not expecting to have to be here. Like we did cake and then we were just running. Like we were just making things up of how to entertain these children for a whole hour. They were little.
Yes. I think about whether they're little or say they're 7, 8, 9 plus. If the venue offers 2 hours, look at what is included. And if 1 hour is in the party room, doing food, cake,
yes,
you don't need a full hour.
No, if you can reduce that in any way, or you have to be prepared with something entertaining almost every 10 minutes.
Yes.
So the next time we actually did the same event space and we came prepared the next year. We had activities for basically every 10 minutes.
Okay.
We had a piñata, which was a disaster, but also entertaining. We had a little dance party with like lights and everything for 10 minutes. We had activities came in with coloring for basically almost every 10 minutes to give them something to keep them entertained and happy, because in a room by yourselves, you can't really leave, with small children, they're going to get very rangy
in
very
1 hour.
quickly.
Yes, that's right. So in terms of length, 1.5 hours to 2, short and sweet. It doesn't need to be a half-day event.
Oh, definitely not. That is a lot to ask for.
Do you wish there was a way to focus more on your family and personal goals without sacrificing your career? Intentional Household examines your entire household ecosystem to pinpoint inefficiencies and offer targeted solutions. By the time we're done, you'll have a system that frees you from draining tasks and gives you time to live intentionally. Learn more at intentionalhousehold.com. Let's move on to the venue, because you talked about having it at a gymnastics location.
Yes.
outside of the home is really the ideal, because remember, the point of this is to keep it as low stress for yourself
Mm-hmm.
as possible. When it is in your home, you're adding extra tasks, right? You have to clean the house in advance, clean up afterwards. I know I would be very uptight about kids going throughout my house, having sticky fingers, touching things. I don't want that.
Mm-hmm.
If you have it outside of the home, you don't have to worry about the cleaning aspect and being worried about things getting broken or touched. So if possible, keep it outside of
Definitely.
the house, a venue. I mean, even if you can rent a community type space, that's an option as well. But there are so many venues that host birthday parties.
They do. You do need to get on them early. Again, when going back to the planning, months sometimes in advance, depending on what it is. If you want a specific date and time, sometimes these things are very popular. So you really do have to make sure that you are thinking about this event 3 months ahead, I would say.
100%.
Again, with calendars and your own schedules, and then the venue, and then having to create invites and sending them out so people RSVP on time, that is a 3-month lead time almost.
It is.
So that is something to just always clock.
My daughter's birthday is 4 months out from now.
Mhm.
And she's already talking about naturally
Yes,
as a
yes.
7-year-old would. But I am thinking I have about a month left before I need to book a venue.
Yes. Yeah. And in that between that time, you've got some time to do research, ask your daughter what she wants to do. But so yeah, 4 months if you want to have some pre-planning sessions. But then by month 3, things need to get,
need to
firmed
take
up
action.
almost. Yeah.
Yes. And if you are going to do it at your house, try not to be a one-person show.
Oh, yes.
Right? Don't be the one cleaning the house, cooking the food, being
Even
the
if you have the
decorator.
know-how, even if
Yes, exactly. Being the entertainment.
Mhm.
The whole point is outsource where you can. If you have support, use your support. If you have a house cleaner, have them clean the house. If you have a house manager or a housekeeper or a nanny, use them as support where you can. Maybe if you're going to do a loot bag, have them help get the loot bags in order. If you need to run errands, help with the errands. If they need to set up tables.
Definitely. I think it's also important to remember that you also want to be present at your own child's birthday party and
Yes.
like take it in.
Yeah.
Take it in with them and watch them and be available. I've run into that problem too many times given my culinary background from a previous life. I default to being, if we have, so we actually do a family birthday party and then our kids' birthday, like the school or friend birthday party. So we have 2 events, mostly because it's all family wants to, grandparents want to see them, aunts, uncles. So we have to almost accommodate for both of those things. Otherwise it's too drawn out. So we do an event at home first with the family, usually almost on the day of their birthday. And then they have a school or friend birthday party. Yeah, I usually end up doing so much of this stuff and getting resentful because I know how and I'm good and
Yeah.
efficient. But then I'm like, am I even in any pictures? Have I even like played with my daughter or been there? Or am I just running around and like dealing with food and drinks?
That's right. And you are actually the host of the party.
Mhm.
So if you think about the host, you want to be mixing with the guests who are visiting, especially if it's family. I mean, not just family, friends. They want to see you and connect.
Yeah.
And otherwise, you're busy running around. You have no time to socialize and you're busy working the whole time.
Yeah. We had this one where we got pizzas, but you kind of had to like finish them in the oven. Like they were like really nice frozen pizzas. And I just remember one time, it was busy and crowded and I'm looking at my husband be like, the pizzas need to come out. The pizzas need to come out of the oven. And I could just smell them like burning.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's it.
I know.
Party ruined.
Yeah, that's it.
But really, and we should have just ordered pizzas.
That's it. Because at the time, you're like, not a big deal.
Yeah.
These are frozen.
So
You can
easy.
pop them in.
So
But
easy.
then once you get chatting away or
Yeah.
just occupied with something,
Yeah.
forget about it.
No,
you can't
that
keep
wasn't
track
fair.
of a timer, even if you set the timer.
And that would have been in those situations where my husband, if we had looked at the expectations clarifier on Tool, been like, do you really though want to be doing pizzas like in the oven while people are here? Like, yes, the idea is they're easy,
Yeah.
but you still have to man the oven. And then that means you're not walking around. Your daughter wants to hang out with you. You're not there.
Yeah.
So that would have been something would have been good to check early.
Yes, because they do want you there. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah,
Totally.
they want to celebrate together.
Yeah. And I think that's something that you can get caught up with, like trying to create an event and you miss what's important. of you being present. So yeah, don't do that.
No.
Don't be like everything and try to take it all on yourself. So outsource where you can.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
So we have talked about the length, the venue. Next, let's talk about the entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
Because you do need a source of entertainment. It is very challenging to host a birthday party and just expect that the kids will entertain themselves.
No, they are looking for entertainment. They are expecting something.
Yes, you need a focal point of the party. And so that is your entertainment. So again, book some sort of entertainment.
Looking in advance.
Yes, book in advance. And the kids will look forward to that. And it's not on you because if you plan activities, you may go through the activities
real fast
in the first 10 minutes.
Yes. And again, there's lots of mess with activities that you're going to bring in. So if you don't want to be cleaning up a whole bunch of things, bringing entertainment like a magic show or something can be a great way to entertain and have a wonderful time that is pretty stress-free.
Mm-hmm. Like we've done things like you said, magic show. We've done tie-dye shirts. We've done cupcake decorating.
Mm-hmm. You had a slime party one time?
Slime making.
Yeah, I remember that.
A pet show.
Oh, that's a good one.
Even renting a bouncy castle, for the younger ones. Could be a pool party, rock climbing.
Yeah.
I mean, so many things. There are so many options, but you need a focal point of the party. So that is the entertainment that is going to be pre-planned.
Yes. Yeah. And a lot of the venues that you go to, like again, they either come with entertainment, part of it, but again, always look at the length of time. We were at another one where there was a bit of like an arcade aspect. They gave them like vouchers for this arcade, but then they all ran out within like 20 minutes. And I think it was like, so again, you have an hour in this arcade and the vouchers ran out. And then it's like, once they run out, you could top them up, but it's like, I don't know. Like we paid for everything already and now we have to top it up again. So all of those things, doing research on how long the entertainment is and just making sure that for the length of time that you're going to be there, it's going to be sufficient.
Yes.
Because these kids they run through it really quickly.
Oh, very fast.
Mm-hmm.
Much faster than you can ever anticipate.
That's right.
Okay, next, let's talk about a very key element that is often overlooked. Money cannot buy this. Vibe.
The vibe. Yeah, sure.
The vibe is very important because this is really what creates a fun, memorable space. You want some sort of music and you are part of the vibe.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are so stressed that you are running around trying to check things off your list, everyone can read that.
Yeah.
And that vibe can really ruin the tone.
Yeah.
And the fun. So you really want to be mindful of the vibe you're giving off because
Definitely.
You want to make sure it's fun.
I know.
So really focus on, am I giving off a fun vibe? Because you can't buy that one.
No, you cannot. And you can't redo it. And you do, that energy just comes off of you. So if you are stressed, your face is tense, you're just like, trying to get from one thing to the next, your child's going to feel it and see it. And certainly your spouse is. And it's not a great experience. So making sure that you are absolutely going to enjoy it. Again, that expectations, whether it's a theme, you guys all love it and you're into it all together, I think makes a very memorable birthday that your child is going to just, talk about for years.
And for me, I would say the fun part doesn't come as naturally. And I really do need to make a conscious effort.
Yeah, me too.
To not be running around stressed, trying to make sure everything is perfect. So you really need to
check yourself.
I
do.
And like remind or have your partner remind you, right?
Yes.
Because my kids are really good at saying, "Are you happy?" Because they can read it. But I'm not going to count on my kids to ask me if I'm happy at the party. But if giving off anything but a fun vibe is something I'm giving off, then I would want Alex, my husband, to like really say, "Hey, you didn't give off a fun vibe." And if that's such a challenge this time, then next time we need to make some changes so that you are enjoying the party as well.
Yes, I agree. I think that needs to be, for my personal take, and a priority for myself for next year is to have more fun at my kids' birthday parties. Find a way.
Yeah, it's almost like, let's say at a wedding, people remember the vibe. They remember if you were present, let's just say the bride, what was the vibe you were giving off? So really be present.
Yeah.
It's the whole point is to be there for your kids.
taking it all in, not just, I guess your kid is going to have their own experience of it, with their friends and everything around, but you are, it's the last time your child is that age, transitioning from whatever that was, 5 or 6, and entering a new era. So, just being present for that and having fun and celebrating that and not worrying about event logistics so much.
Mm-hmm.
So that all comes to like, if you are really prepared and you've planned this out in advance, you will be able to enjoy yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So starting again, just making sure that's all done, everything's set up. You don't have to worry about anything that day. That's where you want to be. And for that to happen, it is again, planning well in advance. So you haven't missed anything. Your partner is involved. You're both happy with what the event is going to be like. Your child knows what's going on. They're all happy. And then it's a really enjoyable thing that you can take part in as well.
Do you feel like you're managing your home is harder than managing your job? You're not alone. Many successful professionals struggle with household inefficiencies. At Intentional Household, we address these challenges head on, helping you reclaim your time and energy. Let us help you build a home that supports your goals. Visit intentionalhousehold.com today. Let's talk about food next, because again, this party, we're talking about an hour and a half to 2 hours max. The food doesn't need to be...
Not with kids.
Not with kids, right? You don't need to stress
out. They're so wasteful.
Very wasteful. You don't need to stress out about having lots of options.
No.
You have something like pizza, cupcakes, or cake, and then some sort of...
Veggie fruit platters.
Yes. And then a drink, that's good. Yeah. You don't need to cook a full course meal. You don't need someone else to cook a full course meal. You don't even need to bake the cake or the cupcakes. I never do. They will not appreciate it.
No, they won't. I've never had a birthday party where all of that stuff even goes. You know what I mean? Like it's, the kids eat half a cupcake or they lick off the icing and that's it. Like they just really simple, keep it really simple when it comes to children that are, under the age of 15, I would say. They really are they don't have high expectations in terms of food, and you just want to keep your life very easy. So cheese pizza, pepperoni pizza, veg flat platter, fruit platter, cupcakes or cake, and that's it. Yeah. And just don't go over the top on it at all.
And can we talk about loot bags?
Yes.
Because...
Don't love loot bags.
Don't love loot bags. I would say a take-home item. Hey, remember, we want this to be fun, right?
Yes.
And we want the kids to be excited.
And they're excited about loot bag concepts.
Yes, or something to take home.
Yes.
So I am not suggesting we get rid of it, but really making a conscious effort at what the item is that you're choosing. Because whatever item you are going to choose or items, think about, are these items that I want my child to bring into the household?
I have to admit, there's so many times after a birthday party, my kids come home and I honestly throw most of it out.
Well,
they leave it.
They do. And
they're not interested after the car ride home. They open it in the car, make a mess sometimes in the car, leave the stuff in the house or just like on the counter. And I just watch it, like just watch this loot bag just stay there for a couple of days. The shine has worn off. They're not interested in any of the stuff in there anymore. And I end up just like, throwing it out and recycling it. And some parents spend money on it.
They do. Well, of course. Yeah. And I mean, hey, I've put those bags together myself.
So have I. I did it just this weekend. Yes. Knowingly this is a bunch of junk.
I know. I think if I'm correct, the Home Edit has a rule that those loot bag items stay in the house for 24 hours and then it goes right into the trash.
That is essentially what I do. And it just seems so wasteful.
It does. So are there ways we can reinvent let's say the loot bag, because that's what they call it. One party we've gone to, they gave us a $5 gift card for a local ice cream shop.
I love that idea.
Great idea.
I would use that absolutely. And I think the kids would love that idea. That is something I'm going to introduce.
Another thing you could do is just like a cool pair of sunglasses.
Yeah.
You don't have to break the bank. No. But something that they will use.
It's almost the equivalent monetary stuff, but instead of like a bunch of junk, have something that may be a little bit more useful.
Another one could be trading cards, like baseball, hockey cards.
Yeah, that's an easy one. I really like the coupon to ice cream, I think, because then it's an event the whole family can partake in a little bit, and I think that a child would actually really look forward to that.
This one seems like a cheap idea, but I know my kids would appreciate this. Even if you get something like a bouncy ball. My kids love bouncy balls, and you just wrap it in cellophane ribbon, make it look cute. If they came home with a ball that they could play with at the park, or a skipping rope,
Oh, yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah. Easy and better quality, something that's actually useful that will not be thrown out the next day. I think that's you kind of want to get to that where it's something that's actually useful for the kids. My daughter, she came home with like a baking kit, like chocolate chip cookies and everything. And I thought that was really great. We did it on the weekend. And again, it's something a little bit more like less wasteful. And she was really excited about it.
Yeah.
So again, it's just away from that, those little plasticky items that like just really do get thrown out pretty soon after.
Actually, my daughter has actually been sent home with a book.
Ooh,
a chapter book.
I like that.
Mhm.
Especially as you get to older ages, if they're still having birthdays like the 9, 10, where they really don't need these like loot bags, but they're starting to get into reading and stuff. So like a lot more chapter books. So I think that's a great idea.
Yeah. So the whole point is really asking yourself, if this is an item that I would want to bring into my home, what can we do to keep it fun,
Mm-hmm.
but maybe reduce the waste?
Yeah, really. It's the waste that bothers me.
Mm-hmm. And before we wrap this up, we've gone over the really big parts of
Mhm.
planning the party. Any last tips from a pro mom?
Oh boy. Well, I think always, like we said, outsource where you can and get extra hands as well. If it's just the two of you, your husband and yourself, or just you're a single mom, you really do want to have maybe another extra set of hands for that day.
Mm-hmm.
Could be 20 children, and if once you get to the point where drop-offs are expected, we should talk about that too. What's logistics for that once I finish my thought on this. But bringing in some additional hands, like a babysitter, may also be a good idea.
Yes.
For a couple hours, that could help with entertainment, just like little things when you're going through. Even we did an event with Mini Putt and we actually brought in a neighbor. She was a little bit older. She was around 12 years old. The children were 6. It's my daughter's friend. She lives close by and she was really great at like keeping the little kids on course for their Mini Putt while my husband and I were with, another group as, kind of things split off. So really having that extra set of hands can make things so much easier and stressful. So
I agree.
certainly consider that on what type of a venue, or have a couple of the parents stay if they're good friends of yours also, but tell them in advance. Don't be like, do you mind staying like in the last second? Maybe just have a couple of friends also there of the kids that want to stay and hang out with you, but also lend a hand.
Well, that actually brings a good point, because when you're doing the invitations, it can be very helpful to communicate whether this is a kid-only party or whether this is a kid plus
Siblings?
parents and or siblings.
Yes. Yeah.
Because we know you never want to assume. And if it is going to be a kid with parents,
Mhm.
you can almost seek out the parents who are going to help. I mean, or if it's just a kid-only party, you could still seek out the parents who are going to help, asking them in advance.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, you need to know numbers.
Mhm.
So if you're going to open things up to siblings are invited or parents to stay, I mean, then you need food enough for that. And especially as siblings that are staying, they may also want a loot bag, So those are things that for sure you need to make it very clear. Siblings allowed, please RSVP if you will be bringing a sibling. And if parents are going to be dropping off, basically drop off only you are assuming that the parents are leaving.
Yes.
So if you do need a helping hand from a couple of parents, then you need to contact them in advance and let them know that if you wouldn't mind staying.
Yeah.
And then you have that extra help.
Yeah, definitely seek support.
Mm-hmm.
And we were talking about drop off, very clear start times and a very clear end time.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Parents, mostly they'll want to know, but and when you plan event venues, they will give you an end time. So it's really, if it's at your house and you really want people to I need you to pick up your kids by this time. Otherwise, you can't assume they may think it's, 3 or 4 hours is reasonable, and they may not be available to pick up their child unless it's clearly stated on the invitation of when pickup is. Also, I just want to note another reason to have extra set of hands in venues, little things you may not consider, even like kids going to the washroom.
Yes.
When they're really small, like 5 or 4, they may need help.
Mm-hmm.
So I think a lot of times what we found was kindergarten we're just starting to get to the transition where it's drop-offs. So just making sure as a parent that you're prepared for that drop-offs. Parents are not there, but these little kids still need a bit of help. Going to the washroom, making, they don't want to go by themselves or those things. So in those situations, you do really need to consider having a helping hand.
Let's go back to your comment. I think you referenced Pinterest.
Yes.
Pinterest can put a lot of pressure.
Pinterest and Instagram.
Yes.
You see things that, other parents are doing, and then you kind of have this ooh, should I be doing that?
Mhm.
Am I not as good of a mom if I don't do this, sleepover party with makeovers and all of this sort of stuff and balloon arches. Am I less than? Was my kid not going to get as good of experience? You do need to let go of that. And again, that's why don't look at any of those things. Have your expectations clarifier. Focus on and be intentional of what you really want the feeling to be like for you and your family, and what makes that happy and memorable for you. We talked about whether it's just not having it just a photo op, definitely take photos, plan maybe a photo at the beginning, at the end, and then the rest of the time be present.
Because it's really about the experience and not the photo op.
Yeah. It's great to capture a few photos, but not the entire time. And just you're there behind, a screen or a lens and not actually experiencing it with your child. And you really do want to take in the whole moment, because it only happens that once, and that's it. For one time, there are 6 or 7. You really want to take it all in.
Yeah. And remember, you are allowed to enjoy it as well.
Yeah, so much.
Yeah, not just your kids.
Yes. Again, you're not a bad mom if you decide you want to have fun too. And you don't have to sacrifice yourself and your enjoyment for your child. That doesn't make them have a great time. They will have a great time with you. And again, that vibe of you actually being present and happy with them and laughing and sharing in the memories. They want you in it, not just taking the photos. They want you to be there, and someone else take the photos. Assign somebody to take photos actually, so that you are not, you don't have the even worry of that. Just make sure you have somebody else taking the photos with your camera, and then you can actually truly enjoy the moment.
Well, I have 3 birthday parties coming up in the near future, 1 month after another. So I am definitely going to keep these tips in mind and use the expectations clarifier to make sure I can really plan it well and reduce any sort of resentment, and most importantly, ensure that I am having fun and enjoying myself as well.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming on to chat about this. I've loved hearing your experiences. If you've enjoyed this episode, if you have experiences or comments that you would like to share, send us a DM and stay tuned for the next episode.